October the 13th, 2025. The invocation will be provided by First Baptist Senior Adult Pastor Jim Gibson. Pledge of Allegiance will be conducted by Commissioner Tommy Ledford. Please rise.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this community in which we live, for each one of these individuals who serve as leaders here, representatives of our people. I pray that you would give them great wisdom and insight. We see great growth that is taking place in our area, and may we give tribute and thanks to you for that and to the leadership like these in this room. Pray that you would guide their time today. Give them wisdom as they make decisions, as they see how you desire for government to operate. We just pray that you would guide each and every one of them, and it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now move along to the report from the county mayor, Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. Nothing really to report. It was a great morning for a grand opening at SK Food this morning, a new corporate citizen in our community. $200 million investment's been completed, and they're on their way to their full employment. I think they've got 200 and something employees already. They were very complimentary of Bradley County. Had the governor here to welcome them also. So it was a great time, great grand opening, I think. Appreciate the commissioners that were able to make it. That's all I have, unless someone has something for me. Thank you.
Anyone have anything for the mayor? Thank you. We'll now move along to reports from committees and our districts. We'll start on our right with Commissioner Beatty.
I have nothing to report today.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing today.
Commissioner Alford.
Second District's doing well. I took a tour up Dry Valley the other day, and I just amazed at all the new houses and areas that's going up and down on that ridge. They've sold, evidently, they sold a lot of property here lately. I also went by the Dr. Love truck stop, trying to look and see what was going to be built on the other side of the street. I don't know if Melissa, somebody might know, but understand there might be another truck stop going up, but we'll find out, I guess, eventually. Anyway, other than that, Second District doing well.
Thank you. Commissioner Blake.
All's good, thank you.
Commissioner Collins.
Doing well in third. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. The only thing I have is road committee meeting on Thursday, 9 a.m. here in the commission room. And that's all I have. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Thompson.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Goins.
At least.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Raleigh County School Board will hold a work session tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. at the Pye Center, and then their regular monthly meeting will be Thursday at their office. And I'd just like to echo what the mayor said. It was a nice morning at SK Food, state-of-the-art facility, a chilly 38 degrees on their shop floor. So it was a good morning. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All's well in the 6th District. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, want to echo Commissioner Slater and Mayor Davis's comments about SK Foods. It was a good morning over there today, and very happy to have a great business like theirs coming to Bradley County. And just want to say thank you to Mike Griffin from the Chamber of Commerce and Doug Berry as well for all their hard work and bringing a lot of these businesses here to Bradley County. And thank you to Governor Lee and Stuart McWhorter as well for being here, and it was a great morning. I do also have one more thing, Mr. Chairman. County Planner Bentley Thomas is here today to discuss a resolution that adopts the new digitalized flood insurance rate maps developed by FEMA in conjunction with the Corps of Engineers. These maps are a required tool for the facilitation of the comprehensive flood program in Bradley County Planning and Inspection Offices. This resolution requires a public hearing next week and next week's voting session. I wish to place this resolution on the October 20th, 2025 voting session, and Bentley is also here today to answer any questions that any one of you might have. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, the 7th District is doing well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bentley, do you have anything to comment on?
No, not really. I mean, this is something we have to do to stay in good standing with FEMA and the National Flood Insurance Program. And the maps are really going to help me because a lot of the old maps from '07 that I use now do not have base flood elevation on them, and these do, which will help the builders because the ones, when you don't have base flood elevation, you have to build 3 foot up above the highest adjacent grade. Having the elevation data, they only have to build up 1. So I'll be happy to answer any other questions you guys have.
Commissioner Thompson?
I agree with this on the flood plans, but what I don't agree with is our planning when it comes to subdivisions, where the water goes to. They've got roads running down into people's yards and entrance ways and everything else. And I don't know why that can't be corrected before these builders build a subdivision, that they make sure that the water that runs off of their road entrance to that subdivision don't run onto somebody else's property and flood them out. But we've got some problems like that around, I know we do out in our district, and there's nothing we can do about it except build a holding pond, and those people sure don't want a holding pond in their front yard. So we need some changes made there. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hey, Bentley, does this require a new computer system? Or
No,
you said system?
I've already got it on my GIS. And I've got paper copies if any of you guys want to look at them this week before you vote on them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I do want to say as well that this was brought up before the Bradley County Regional Planning Commission as well, and it passed unanimously from the Planning Commission to approve this.
Thank you. Anyone else with any questions? All right. I think overall there's very few changes from the previous one except the elevation contour lines. It's a thick document, but it should be read and understood.
Chairman,
Yes.
real quick, Bentley, does the city have to have this same kind of?
Yes.
But
They'll have to
they already have it.
No, I don't know if they've adopted the new ones yet, but they'll have to adopt them before, Gary, is it November 28th, I believe? Yeah.
Good. Okay. We'll now move along to the agenda items. Agenda item A, Commissioner Louis Alford.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. After receiving, the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of phone calls from constituents and people around Bradley County fussing about so many ball games and things getting rained out at the parks. I thought it'd be worth our time to do at least I've asked Miss Andy and Melissa both to come and give us a little report on how much money we possibly could be losing by not being able to play these tournaments and stuff like that. So, Andy, would you like to give us some figures and facts? Then I'll get with Miss Melissa.
So, Lou, you asked me for the last 3 years. I tried to go back and just kind of look and see what we've had rained out over the last 3 years. And 2023, it looked like we had about 8 days rained out. This is rec ball, Monday through Friday. We don't play on weekends. So, and I'm somewhere around 26 games a night at all our parks. So roughly that's about 208 games lost. We do make an effort to try to reschedule them, but it's hard to get stuff rescheduled on weekends. And when we do reschedule them on the weekends, it always seems to rain then too. So, go figure. That year we averaged probably about, say, 1,600 per night in concessions, across the park. So you could ballpark at 12,000 maybe. Had about 7 weekends rained out for tournaments. That's completely rained out. We had to cancel them before we played. That's not to take into consideration the ones that we might have got started on Saturday and then it got wiped out halfway through the day. That's usually on average about 2,000 in concessions, so maybe 14,000. Just in concessions, rental fees, maybe another 4,000 that we missed out on. We had to cancel because if they don't show up, I can't charge them anything for the field. 24, we had about 10 dates rained out. It was really bad last year. Lost about 260 games. We only play 7 weeks in the spring, 5 weeks in the fall. So that's a pretty good chunk of our season. Like I said, makeups are tough. Maybe 13,000 in concessions possibly there. And I just tried to average what I bring in on a given night, kind of ballpark what that might be. Probably lost about 6 weekends for tournaments that year, maybe another 12,000. Rental fees, maybe another 6,000. This year we've had about 9 rainouts through the season. 230 games-ish. Probably another 12 or 13,000, about 5 weekends rained out. Another 11,000, maybe 4,000 in rental fees. The days that we get out and start playing and then rains come through and you have to shut the park down, then, that also would cut into some of your revenues as far as concessions go or what you would charge full freight for the weekend. But so there is money there that we're probably revenue money that we probably are losing. But so, and like I said, that's about 28 games a night for our rec ball. As far as rental fees go, we don't charge the same thing that you would feasibly charge if you had turf. If you got turf fields, you can pretty much say, this is what I want to charge, and they'll pay it because they know they're going to play. So, is there any of those numbers that you want me to go into a little further, or?
Anything you've got would be beneficial, I think.
Well, I was looking at Bicentennial in Athens. They've got 3 fields that they have turf. I was trying to look and see what they charge per field. I basically charge $100 a field per day. They charge upwards of $200 per turf field. But like I said, the difference in natural grass and dirt infields versus turf is if we get started on Saturday morning and a rainstorm blows through at 11 o'clock, with dirt, if it rains long enough, we're going to the house. You can't dry mud. You got to have wind and sun to get those fields ready. Even if you do have drying agents and enough people to work it, you're still looking at being out 4 or 5 hours possibly. That's going to put the tournament back. Some guys don't want to stay around that long. They'll just cancel it. If you got turf, you wait till it stops raining, and then you go back out there and start playing. So, there's a lot of benefits from that. Now, me personally, I like the idea of being able to charge more for our tournaments, bring in a different clientele, because you'd be able to do that for turf fields. But I'm looking at it more along my rec ball lines. If I've got turf fields, I don't have any rainouts. My phone doesn't ring. Your phone doesn't ring. We're able to play. Everybody gets their 12 games in unless it's lightning. That's the phone calls you guys are getting. Well, we got rained out. We missed 6 ball games. Well, I hear those phone calls all the time too. Well, why don't y'all make games up? Well, we try. But if my team has 12 going to show up, but yours only has 6, then we can't make a game up. So that gets difficult. A lot of different schedules for a lot of different people. So from my side, it would be fantastic to not have any rainouts for my rec ball. That would be one less complaint we get.
How many teams do you have in rec ball? Or how many kids are participating in rec ball, you think?
In the fall, this fall, I think we had about 750 to 800 in the spring. We probably average about 1,100 in the spring and about close to 800 in the fall.
So when that gets rained out, that 1,100 kids sit at home.
For those particular nights, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Andy, so I think you kind of alluded to this already, but do the directors of tournaments, and I know you got your rec side, and I appreciate that, but the directors of tournaments that are looking at Southeast Tennessee or North Georgia, do they call and say, are your fields turf? In other words, when they're looking to play a tournament, do they ask what our facilities look like?
I'm trying to think. You know, I've got some new guys asking me for dates coming in this next year. They may have asked me that. I'm satisfied that most of them know where the turf fields are.
So if we go to the turf, then obviously the word will get out, and it'll make us more attractive, right?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes. I mean, that a lot of people are looking at that. Do I go to Dalton where there's, you know, 4 or 5 parks turfed where I know I can bring in, you know, 100 teams for a weekend? They're probably gonna look to more to those parks, and I'll tell you that teams look that way too.
Yeah, we do.
When they're looking at the tournaments that they want to go to, they're gonna say, "Well, this park has turf. We know we'll play."
So the other part, and you did allude to that, is that obviously if we would we'll be able to charge a little bit more because a better product, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
yes, sir.
but then I think as a quote unquote a dad who spent many a nights traveling with baseball and all that, there's the intangible piece to it. All that you've given right there, and we were talking about is the statistics and the numbers, but there's the intangible piece of getting to play. I can only tell you, a lot of kids, a lot of players on my team, whatever, were really disappointed that, and there's nothing you can do about it. The weather is the weather, but like you said, or Commissioner Alford said, is get rained out. Let's say you're traveling, and that's, you know, part of it as well. You're sitting in a hotel or you're trying to figure out what to do. Maybe the rain will let up. Maybe the tournament directors will let us know if we can go and all that kind of stuff. The intangible pieces of it, I don't want to discount that as well because that's a very big piece of it. I mean, if we can get, you said 9 this year, let's just say half or 3/4 of those. I mean, if it rains pretty bad, even with turf, you're probably going to have a tough time. But the one that we had 2 weeks ago, I think it was a 10-minute rain from what I understand, and it had to be canceled. But it was a good example of give it 30 minutes to an hour, and you would have been back out on the field, and schedules could have been rained, all that kind of stuff. So, and then I guess the maintenance of the field is obviously the turf wouldn't require as much.
It's not. No, it's not. I mean, there's still maintenance to it. And
there's still some, but obviously.
But, I mean, if you're looking at everyday cost of taking care of a dirt baseball field is the gas and the gator to drag it, the manpower to drag it, the chalk to line it, there's quite a bit that goes into taking care of that dirt. Whereas put turf down, all that stuff's there. So you may be moving mounds around. You still have to take care of the grass if we were to just do infields per se. Still got, stuff to do in the outfields, but I mean, that opens up a lot more room to take care of a lot of other aspects. And once the season starts, I'll tell you as far as our maintenance crew goes, because that's where I worked for years. When we were playing, the overall maintenance of things that you might see as walking into the park might fall off because you have to put so much time into getting those fields ready every day. I would spend the entire morning just on the dirt. And then the afternoons, I would try to do the projects that I needed to do to keep the park up. So that aspect, turf, you got to sweep them a couple times a week. Every now and again, you got to replace high traffic areas, but the actual maintenance of that area goes down dramatically.
And last thing, real quick, we're talking about softball fields and baseball fields.
Yes.
So I mean, softball is just as big as baseball.
Softball, the tournaments are predominantly softball tournaments. Now, I will say that I think if you have turf fields, that we probably draw more baseball tournaments in this area too. But right now, it's predominantly softball.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Commissioner Thompson, then Commissioner Rogers.
You know, as much money as we're losing, it looks to me like we'd start looking at turf to see what we could do on some of the fields anyway. And, in fact, out at Elrod Park, I'd like to have a dome out there, but that's okay. But anyway, I think it's worth looking at putting turf in, because if we're losing that kind of money, well, it looks like we're losing enough to pay for it. That's all I have.
Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, brother. And question for you: how many fields do you currently have, baseball and softball fields?
Okay,
Total.
I actually wrote this down because sometimes I have to count. So we got 6 at the recreation park off of Urbane. You got 5 on the top. You got 4 on the bottom. We've got 4 at Bradley North off Eureka Road. We've got 4 at Blue Springs off of Blue Springs Road, and then 4 off of Eureka at Elrod Park. Quite a few fields to take care of.
You said 6?
6 at the county.
Okay.
Or 6 at the top of the county and 4 on the bottom.
So that's 10.
Yeah. That's our big, and that's where the majority of our tournaments are played, because the directors like to go in there. They've got more fields, and they're just right down the hill from each
So
set.
22 total fields.
Yes, sir.
When you have one of these tournaments, and obviously I'm not speaking on recreation stuff Monday through Friday, but when these tournaments come in, how does the money go? So you have the tournament director pay for the use of the park.
Yes, sir.
Then you have concessions.
Yes, sir.
You have gate entry fee.
That's all the tournaments.
Okay, and then what about them? What about the tournaments using our parking facilities? Do they charge for parking?
No, typically the directors will have a gate fee.
Okay.
So that they take in their gate, they pay their umpires.
Okay.
They pay a rental fee to us, and then we take the concession revenue. We take care of, we get the fields ready, take care of the fields through the day, and then they take care of the rest.
Okay. Do you guys currently use drying agents?
Yes, we have conditioner on all our fields, and there's from time to time we have to use more conditioner.
And there's a cost associated with that
Yes, sir.
for the dirt and
Yes, sir.
and trying to get the chalk. But the drying agents, if it rains to try and get a tournament in, you're spending a good
Well,
bit
I
of
mean,
money
yeah,
on drying
I couldn't
agents
tell
as
you how
well.
much the bags of conditioner are that we put down. That's typically all of, but they have another drying agent that I don't really like to use because I think it messes up the dirt.
But with moving to turf fields, potentially, those costs would also be cut.
Yeah, also dirt. I mean, I just put dirt out at Bradley North this week, and that was maybe $7,000 worth of dirt that we put down.
And what do you know off the top of your head what the cost of your field maintenance is overall for an entire year for all 22 fields? When it comes to paying salaries, dragging fields, dirt, chalk.
And I guess I could break it down out of the budget, but I don't know off the top of my head exactly what it would be for the field.
I would be curious to what that number is based over an extended period of time, and what moving to turf fields would reduce that cost. Because there would obviously, if you just did the infield, you'd still obviously have to mow in the outfield, but there would be a reduced cost. I would assume.
Well, we wouldn't have bought that dirt, and I don't get to put dirt on all my fields every year. Like you said, there's 20 some odd fields. I got dirt for Bradley North the other day because we were in desperate need of it. I'll probably still have to get a couple more loads for county fields this year. Your chalk, you got to put chalk down every day. You got to line them. Your gas budget, go in a circle. Basically, for however many fields, you got to drag them every day. So those costs would go down. Some areas with turf.
Can I ask you one final question, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman, and I know Commissioner Slater has a couple questions too. If we move to turf infields or turf outfields, or just move to some form of turf, would more kids be able to play baseball and softball in Bradley County and have less days off, and would we be able to host more tournaments in Bradley County as well, in your opinion as Director of Athletics?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Slater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does Bradley County Parks and Recreation currently host any of the weekend tournaments?
No, ma'am.
So if we went to turf, would Bradley County Parks and Recreation host any weekend tournaments?
Currently don't have any plans to run those tournaments.
Okay, thank you.
Or anyone else with comments? Commissioner Gilbert.
Hey, would there be any place up there to put a swimming pool?
There's probably room.
Cause I don't know if any of y'all had went to the county and city meeting they had the other day down at the, chamber. That's pretty much what they was saying, that the county was gonna go in with them and build a big swimming pool, and gonna have pickleball courts, they're gonna have, ballparks that are turf, what they call it, travel ball. Gonna be playing travel ball, and, supposed to be a big deal. And then there's gonna be a bunch of houses built around it. But, I think we need to look into putting an Olympic-sized swimming pool up there to where Bradley High School and Walker Valley and the junior high schools all could use it. There's a big grant that's out there for this, the swimming pools and for the turf. And, I just think we ought to keep this, and that could be an amazing place out there for kids to go. If that's what you're looking for the kids to have something to do, you could put a big Olympic-sized swimming pool out there, and one of them splash pads. A lot of kids go, I know they go to Athens, they tell me all the time, we're taking our kids to Athens because they got a splash pool, whatever that is, a little flyer spitting out water. But, I think we could look into something like that too, and make that one big park, make it really nice. And turf. That's all.
Commissioner Alford, please.
Yes, Andy, thank you. If nobody else got it, I asked Miss Woody to come also to give us a little bit of impact on missing all these tournaments, days and things, how it impacts the motel, hotel, and restaurant business in town also.
So, thank you so much, Commissioner Alford. It's been a couple of years since I addressed you guys, and this is the really good timing for this because we just now had the latest economic impact numbers released from the state of Tennessee, and there was an article in the newspaper about it last week, or maybe a couple weeks ago, and so it's a good time for me to come and give you a little bit of an update. Of course, my information is going to be a more broad look at this issue and more general information about sports tourism. So I'm going to you want me to do that? Yeah, I can. So we just rebranded at the chamber, so this is our new logo. Just a good time for me to kind of give you guys some reference for our whole. It's been a while since I've addressed you. So our mission for tourism development at the chamber is continuing to grow local tourism through promotion of our community and region, product development, and probing data. Just what I've done here for Commissioner Alford is looking at research and evaluation. So how's tourism development funded? Just to remind you, the Chamber's Tourism Development Division is funded through a portion of the lodging tax. We get 19.6%. The remaining distribution goes to Tri-State Exhibition Center, Chamber's Economic Development Division, the county's general fund, and towards satisfying the bonds for Spring Branch. This is the cover of the new economic impact on travel for Tennessee counties. The 2024 just came out, and we just attended the Governor's Conference on Tourism in mid-September, held in Kingsport. And so this is kind of what the inside of the study, I've got it with me if anybody wants to see it, but it gives a lot of breakdown on information. But here's basically what it means for you guys. That spacing didn't work out between my computer and Lori's, but so the impact for Bradley County, visitor spending in Bradley County topped $196.6 million in 2024. That is 6.46%, an increase over 2023. Visitors generated $19.6 million in local and state taxes combined for sales taxes. This is a savings of $469 per household because of taxes that are paid through sales tax when visitors pay them instead of more taxes that our citizens have to pay. And then, of course, another impact of tourism is that anything we do to improve the visitor experience is going to improve the quality of life for our residents. Now, history. In 1999 is when I first came to the chamber, so I've been there 26 years, October 4th. And we've seen a 164.4% increase in visitor spending in those 26 years. The increase in sales tax collected is 214.1% increase. There's your 1999 numbers, and there's your 2024 numbers. Pretty big increase, right? And it's my job, to give you a nice rosy picture. However, it's not always rosy, because when I first came in 1999, we ranked 13th in the state. Now, 26 years later, we are ranking 17th, and that spacing. This could indicate that the other counties other counties in the state are investing in tourism product development and promotion at a faster rate than Bradley County. So you see these facilities that Scott was talking about that are going up around us, and the investment that people are putting into sports tourism, and we're lagging behind a little bit in that. So these are potential tourism products in my world: events, arts and exhibits, experiences, trails, tours, historic sites, museums. But look at what color I put sports in, because sports in that list is the money generator. That's going to be your biggest revenue for your investment. These are some of the projects we've been involved in creating experiences for visitors: Art House Project, the Redback Hymnal exhibit, a new exhibit at Red Clay. We've helped connect the folks at Red Clay with the sources to do new exhibits. We've created the Hiwassee River Heritage Center in Charleston. So these are some great projects, but sports is in green. Some other things we've helped create is the Hot Slaw and Art Y'all Festival, which has been huge publicity for our community. The International Cowpea Festival and Cook-Off. Both of these tourism products also fund other tourism products, because the Cowpea Festival raises money for the Heritage Center, and the Hot Slaw Festival raises money for public art projects. With some ARPA funding that I've been able to obtain, we have done some BMX track improvements, and the county has been wonderful at meeting us with those improvements. We've installed a new pro gate for like $30,000, a new starting gate, and also split the fencing, a new fence around the BMX track with the county, so we were able to do that. And the county's come through with some improvements on the concession stand and other track improvements. This puts us in the position to hopefully at some point host a national race. Now, why do we want to do that? Because people who come to national races, mom and dad and Papa and Mama, they come and stay in hotel rooms, and they spend money, and they have to eat somewhere. So that's what we are aiming for. I have recently learned that the bid that we submitted for the BMX races, we submitted like all this really nice looking bid. Mayor Davis has seen it. And we also pledged $5,000 to bid on this event. Well, I've learned that that's very low. We've not done that before. And so I've learned that $5,000 is not a competitive bid for that kind of event. So I swapped some. This is also good timing, because I just came to I just went to the Governor's Conference on Tourism, and I sat in on a sports talk. So I've swiped some slides from pictures that I took during the event or during the session. But it was presented by John David. He's the president and CEO of Sports ETA, which is Sports Events Tourism Association. And so I'm giving credit where credit is due, because these are John's slides. But this is the trend for millions of sports travelers. So see how that just increases and increases. Of course, you see that dip in 2020, but then from that, we've recovered. with sports travelers, and it just keeps increasing. One thing that Mr. David said during that presentation is you can't play ball on Zoom. So, where we are seeing declines in business traveling, sports travel is not going to decline. It's only going to increase. Participant trends, this is from the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, so it's pretty much the same type of information, just from a different source. So you see that trend goes upward. And this is all based on participation sports. This is not like a UT Vols game where you're attending a sporting event. This is all based on participation sports, like team sports that would come to your community. These are categories. So that darkest bar is the latest figures, and it's increased on each one of those categories. So fitness sports, outdoor sports, individual sports, team sports, racket sports, water sports, and water sports or winter sports seasonally. But you see that darkest bar is always up because each one of those categories has increased in participation over the years. The trends of costs, Mylan will appreciate this, how much your family spends on youth sports, and that includes team registrations and uniforms, travel and lodging, the lessons and instructions, the athletics and camps, schools, and other expenses. And the total you'll see there is 47% larger since 2019. So it's just continuously gone up of what people spend to get their kids involved, or what adults spend to be a part of participant sports. So this is the billions of dollars spent. So this is visitor spending, and this is of course nationwide. But this is $52.2 billion in spending. And the point of that is really that you see that it's increasing. So that's nationwide, including our own area. And then this addresses the facilities situation that you all went in thirds with the chamber and with the city on studying the feasibility of a sports facility like Scott was referring to. And this is the trend on market value of those sports facilities. And we are actually in a very good location to have an indoor sports facility because there's not one very close to us. So we're in a really good market for that. Hamilton County doesn't have an indoor sports facility like that. So this is a case study. When Commissioner Alford requested that I come, I touched base with some of my friends in the industry, and so this is from Hamilton County. This is just a case study based on the activity at these venues, and this is Warner Park and Frost. They have 6 fields. Summit of softball in Collegedale is 8 fields, and Camp Jordan Complex has 12 fields with 4 of them dedicated to baseball only. And this is not including those larger championships, the numbers that I'm about to show you. So this is the sports type, the number of events, if you can pardon the spacing. So an adult softball, 7 events for that year in 2024, and the economic direct spending was $2.8 million, and the indirect for the community is $4.7 million. So you can follow those prices and impacts throughout that list, with youth baseball 12 and under, youth baseball 13 and over, and youth softball. So pretty big impact on events, and when they don't happen, you don't get that impact. So that's really the kind of a general overview of information and how important sports tourism is to the overall picture of the impact of tourism. You know, we can do a lot of things to attract visitors, but if you want to have the biggest revenue return from your investment, it's going to be sports facilities. So,
anyone have any questions for Ms. Woody?
Melissa, let's talk about the hotels for a second. You keep track of how many hotels and their occupancy rates and all that kind of stuff, or do they disclose that?
Somewhat. There is a service that's very expensive that keeps up with that stuff called STR, but we can kind of gauge that through I track the lodging tax collections. And so I kind of gauge that through the lodging tax collections. Of course, the summer's peak. This past summer, we had, largest collection we'd ever had for July. But so that indicates that the occupancy levels are pretty high. And then, when you see construction going up on hotels, new hotels, obviously their consultants and studies have shown that they've got the room nights to be able to fill them.
Yeah, we've been to a couple of ribbon cuttings for some new hotels in the last year, and I think there's one going up over on Paul Huff as we speak.
Yes.
So there is, I guess, they're doing their studies and they're seeing that they need to invest in it. I was just wondering if the capacity, if they could sell X amount, are they where they're at on that? Because obviously, we're looking to, if they had 100% occupancy every night, that would be ideal, obviously,
right?
In theory. But I think it's easy to say that if we invested on our side, the facilities, the turf we're speaking about today, that the hotel industry would take notice and accommodate.
Yeah, I mean, they're of course going to go with the demand, and there are, of course, peak weekends when everything seems to happen at the same time, and those will happen, and we'll have and have had spillover to other communities. But that's one thing I would like to address is spillover. We've had the opportunity to work with some of the or offers from some Hamilton County events that they want to play on our fields, but they're staying and eating in Hamilton County. And so, I know that Andy gets the money for the field rental, but when you're talking about the residual effects of the visitors coming into your community and they're not staying and eating in your own county, they're pretty much using your stuff and then going back and spending their money somewhere else. So that's not really an ideal situation. One thing about investing in facilities, you also have to invest in resources, because if you're looking at doing these tournaments, you're going to have the resources. Andy's going to have the help to be able to work with these tournament directors and give them the services that they need. I've dipped my little finger in some of that sometimes, and it is very, very time consuming. We've got one person who's the tourism person, and of course I have teams that I contract with to do promotion and things like that. But Kingsport, Tennessee, which is really comparable to our size, their population is 55,000 for the city, 167 for the county, a little bit bigger than us because they have Bristol that counts into that county population. But they have 10 people on their Visit Kingsport staff, and 3 of them are dedicated to sports, planning, marketing, services. So, I mean, it comes along with how you're going to serve those folks. So those are things to consider as well.
The other thing that I think needs to be said is that we don't take advantage of I-75. Back in my travel days, we'd have to go to certain parks, and you come off the interstate, and it was like 20 miles, 30 miles to get to wherever.
Yeah.
I-75, our exits are somewhat convenient. I mean, they're not exactly on the exit, but they're close enough that you can get to them within 10, 15 minutes. So taking advantage of the interstate coming through Bradley County is also, I think, important, but needs to be said as well.
And, there's definitely room for us to promote our sports facilities more, but we've got to have the product to support what we're promoting.
Working on that.
Yeah, so that's what we're working on here. We would love to be able to promote turf fields and package that up and send it out everywhere, but you got to have the product.
Thank you.
So, yep.
Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you, Ms. Woody. I do have a question for you, and it's sort of about tourism, but it's also something to do with the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I hear the Chamber speak often about when we are out recruiting new businesses and new employers to come into Bradley County like we just all were at SK Foods.
Yes.
And I hear Doug speak about this, and I hear Mike speak about it, and I hear you as well. And I just want you guys to speak on it for a few minutes about when employers and major companies come to Bradley County to look about bringing their business here, some of the things that they look for and some of the things that they ask for, because I know that I've heard a lot of it is the Greenway, or it's how do parks run, parks and recs, and opportunities for those families to be able to kind of, to have a good quality of life, and
Right.
also schools and everything else.
And SK Foods is a really great example of that because they are so very focused on their employees and their employees' quality of life, and that's been very evident with all the work that the chamber has done with them. So companies like that, they of course want to know all of the logistics that Doug provides them, but they also want to know what kind of quality of life, are they going to be able to offer their employees and the workforce that they're going to recruit. So I know that Valker, when they came, they wanted to know a lot about arts and culture. Did we have art offerings? Or were there performances? Is there an art center? That kind of thing. And then, it just depends on sometimes what the company is specifically interested in. But, the quality of life is all of those things together. The Greenway, nice sporting opportunities for their children, arts opportunities. So it's all of the things that we enjoy as residents.
Thank you. And I also, and I hate to be, I see her sitting here in the audience today, Dr. Cash, but, and I think she would say this too, is that healthy and happy kids who are involved in sports make better students in the classrooms for our teachers. And they also make students have the ability to be able to learn more and to be able to experience more and to be able to grow through good coaching. And
Absolutely.
so that's why I really asked, Andy, that question was, if we had turf fields, would more kids be able to play? Would more kids be able to be active? And would more kids be able to see the field? And so I think it's an all-encompassing thing, whether it's generating tax revenue through hotel and motels, whether it's generating sports tourism, whether it's an ability for our children, our Bradley County children, because I know in what Commissioner Gilbert was saying about those meetings earlier, a lot of times when we look for tournaments, we're looking for 4 to 5 to 6 hours away, right? We're looking for the people who are down in Atlanta or up in Kentucky or out in North Carolina to come here because we want those people to stay at hotels and motels. But these facilities, these upgrades to these facilities would also be an upgrade for our children here in Bradley.
And you totally get it, Commissioner Rogers. That's why I put on that slide about the impact of our community and how, what tourism does for our community. And on the end of that slide, I always put quality of life for residents, because anything we do to improve the visitor experience or to get people here is going to make life better for our neighbors. So we're able to enjoy those things as well. So that's an important point.
And I agree wholeheartedly. And I hope that people will see this and understand this, that it's not just about sports tourism. It's not just about generating tax revenue. It's not just about the kids in Bradley County and the sports facilities that we have with our recreation department. It's about all of that combined and how we can be able to create a great environment. And so I commend Commissioner Alford for bringing this up today and speaking on it and looking at it, because I think for us, whether it's sports tourism, it's tax revenue from hotel, motel, and food and beverage and those types of stays, or whether it's better facilities for our students here and our children here, I think it's a good opportunity for us across the board to look at and really to take heed on. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Commissioner Alford.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it, Ms. Woody. Just a couple of more comments, unless somebody else has some more questions. Andy, you mentioned 20 fields, which that's unrealistic, but you said also that most of the tournaments are on the north side and at Menace Road, so we're looking at 14 fields there probably, right?
Yeah.
10 on the north end, and the Menace Road has got 4.
The what y'all may know as industrial park. I call Bradley Parks and or the recreational park off of
Actually, we need to name that park something because
it's
everybody gets
Bradley
messed up.
County Recreational Park is what I've always known it is. But off of Urbane is it's the most popular for the tournaments, like I said, because you've got two complexes right there in one setting, and we, depending on how many numbers we have in the fall, we may not play at Blue Springs, but we always play at County Park. Because we have some of the softball plays on the lower fields, baseball plays on the upper, and we're always out there. Of course, Elrod Park off of Venice, that's our new 4-field complex.
Yeah, you mentioned Elrod Park, that you could get older kids to come in there and have older kid tournaments.
I would say so. The majority of our tournaments are based more on probably ages 8 through softball. They get up to 18s, but for the younger ages. But so Urbane, off of Menace, Elrod Park, you've got 300-foot fences. If you added 10 feet to the gaps on those fields where it plays a little bigger than 300, it would be comparable to the new park in Dalton, which is River Bend. I think they play at about 320 or 325. They get perfect game tournaments. That's the upper level travel baseball for high school age kids. They're all turf, and they come up and they play at that park all summer long. So you could pull more of those older kids into that. And I think some of what we were talking about earlier with the baseball tournaments, we're sitting at about 1,100 kids in the spring. We still have there's a lot more kids than that playing baseball and softball in Bradley County. A lot of them are playing travel ball, and they're going on the weekends to play at other places. If we're having tournaments here, they don't have to travel as much either, so.
I understand that Athens is doing some turf fields, and also East Ridge is adding turf fields, so looks to me like we're kind of going to get behind the 8 ball as far as having decent tournaments if we're not really careful.
That very well may be true. It's, I will say this, I'll take in requests for tournaments starting November. I'm sure that I'll still be able to fill the weekends, but I think somebody said it earlier. I know that tournament directors look at that. They say, well, we can go here with natural fields, or we can go here with turf. We'll play everywhere because they like to move around too, but they're gonna gravitate to those turf fields more often than not. And as a travel ball coach, you're gonna say, all right, I can play this weekend. We can play here or here. The weather looks bad. These fields are turf. That's how a coach would look at it. So.
Well, I'm like Mr. Blake. I've been experiencing back when my kids were little. We did a lot of that, and I know where you're coming from on that also. I'd like to open this up to maybe looking into this, Chairman, somehow or another.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would like to request that we send this to Commissioner Blake and the Finance Department to look for funding, to the Finance Committee, and to be able to try and find the funding, to be able to look and to dive a little bit deeper into this, to understand exactly how many fields that we possibly could use with turf fields, and whether we need infield fields or infield and outfield, or what kind of layout, and then also what kind of pricing there is, and then determine how we could be able to find a revenue source or a source of dollars for putting AstroTurf fields in Bradley County in some of these parks and fields.
We need to get a committee formed up, as Commissioner Alford suggested, to see where we're going, what direction. And I don't know if we're at the point to where we need to send it to finance yet, but finance certainly would need to look at it. No one has mentioned the word grants yet. And these industries, a lot of them have funds available for community involvement, and we need to look at that. give me until a couple of days and I'll get with Lori and we'll come back. I'm not opposed to finance. They're gonna have to get involved. But I don't know at this point that they need to be involved completely, or we need to get a committee formed up to find where we're going. How does that sound, Commissioner Alford?
Yeah, you're the chairman, sir.
Well, I'll make the decision. There's no problem there. But does that sound all right to you, Commissioner Rogers?
Yes, sir. I definitely think when it comes to the money and it comes to whether it's grants or dollars that are whether in the budget or however we determine to pay for it, I agree with you that the finance committee needs to be involved with it, and with their expertise of our budget and with finding those grants and looking into those grants, I definitely think that Finance Chairman Blake has all the ability in the world to be able to do that.
We don't have a grant writer for the county, which I don't know why we don't, but we don't. But maybe we need to look at the grants. There's grants out there available. Government's shut down right now, but it'll be reopened shortly. Commissioner Hughes.
Andy, in the process of while we're trying to work out this other, is there any way that you can look into the possible cost of what it would cost to put turf down, and if there is any options of grants even? I hate to add more to your work, but
We can look into that.
thank you. If you could get that back to us as quickly as possible. Thank you.
And while you're at it, so I'm trying to remember, February is about when baseball starts, right? It's been a while, but I think
We're gonna have, typically, your tournaments are gonna start early March. We're gonna start practicing early March.
Yeah, you'll start practicing.
Our rec season starts at the end of March and runs to May. So
Where I'm going with it, here we are, October 13th or whatever. If we wanted to get anything in place, we would have to I think we'd have to get started right now. I mean, pretty close to it in order to meet the deadline of mid-February.
Yeah, I'm not sure how fast they
You would
work.
have to schedule like crazy as construction's going on.
Well, if
And
it
that's
rain-
all depending on if the turf builders are not busy or somewhere else.
where it doesn't rain. So, but it's not baseball season, so it won't rain as much.
So in other words, yeah, we need to get started on this.
Anyone else?
Chairman.
Give me about two days, and we'll have a committee formed
Chairman.
up. Yes.
One suggestion, it might expedite things a little bit if you make the finance committee and add a couple of more commissioners to form that committee. That way you got your finance and your people together. Just a suggestion, sir.
We'll consider it. Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Gilbert.
I'd just like to recognize a couple of people that are here. Caleb and Noah from the fire department. Oh, Caleb's my hero. When I was down there putting that fire out and I was at the end of it, he shut my hose off and I handed him the hose. I said, take it. I can't go no further. And I went and sat back down. So I just want to thank y'all boys. That sure was a good time. That's all for me.
Anyone else? Thank you. We'll move along to communications from the audience. I will recognize and allow 5 minutes to anyone wishing to speak. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Yes, please. We'll need your name, sir.
Y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
My name is Caleb Lazatter. I'm in the 2nd District. I'm the Secretary of IEFF 4868, the Bradley County EMS and Fire Association. 96, 1, and 3. What do these numbers have to do with my life as a member of Bradley County Fire Rescue? 96 is the number of hours I worked at Bradley County Emergency Services last week, Sunday through Saturday. 1 is the number of times I got to sleep in my own bed. And 3, that's the number of jobs I worked to make ends meet for my family. I joined Bradley County Fire Rescue to serve my community. The calling's in my bones. But right now, I'm serving my community while having to forsake my family. Not because I want to, but because the math doesn't work. I've missed Christmas mornings, Thanksgivings, birthdays, and ball games. It's not a complaint. It's part of the job we accepted. But the question becomes, at what cost and for how long? We are not volunteers. We are not hobbyists. We are a professional fire and rescue organization charged with protecting over 200 square miles of this county. We take pride in our work, yet time and time again, the people around us, neighboring departments, and even smaller municipalities are surpassing us in pay and benefits, and it shows. Every 2 week notice handed is more than a resignation. It's a loss of critical knowledge, training, and trust. Each departure leaves a gap that costs taxpayers more money to refill. It forces the remaining firefighters to work excessive overtime to meet the bare minimum staffing standard, 2 men per truck. This falls short of a national safety standard, NFPA 1720. To put that in perspective, our department's budget is less than half that of our city counterparts. Yet we protect 200 more square miles and serve a nearly identical population. The result? County citizens wait longer for help on their worst day. And when we do arrive, we're arriving with fewer hands, older trucks, and worn-out tools. For those of you who attended the Fire Ops event, you saw it firsthand. The aging and strained apparatus, the dilapidated equipment, and the make-it-work attitude that shouldn't have to exist in modern emergency services. The current solution has been to rob Peter to pay Paul, shifting rigs and resources from one station to another, leaving outlying areas uncertain whether a true mainline engine can respond to their emergency. Yes, we've received new trucks at Station 1 and 4, and we're so thankful. But the gear on those trucks is aged, outdated, and unreliable. And in this line of work, seconds and your equipment are the difference between life and death for the people we protect and for the firefighters that are doing the protecting. We train relentlessly to save lives and property, but many of us feel like we can't save ourselves, drowning under financial stress, marital strain, and mental health challenges. The county's investment in counseling has been a huge blessing, and we thank you for that. But the counseling doesn't pay the mortgage, it doesn't buy groceries, and it doesn't undo the emotional toll of giving an infant CPR or pulling an entire family from a burning building, some alive, some expired, and expected to have to finish the rest of your 24-hour shift. I love this department. I want to retire here. But right now, our pay and benefits make that nearly impossible. Departments right across the county lines in Georgia and even neighboring Tennessee counties are paying their firefighters $10,000 to $12,000 more a year for doing the same job. These are men and women who run the same calls, face the same dangers, and often train alongside us. The only difference is that when they go home, they can actually afford to make a living doing this as their job. Not 3, doing this as their one job, and not 3. That pay gap is pulling our people away, and I don't blame them. They're not leaving because they want to. They're leaving because they have to. Our fire union has been working diligently to develop fair, data-driven solutions. A few of y'all have met with us, listened to our concerns, and expressed support, and for that we're so grateful. But we need action, not just understanding. We need representation from this commission, the same way that we represent you when we run towards danger as everyone else is running away. You, the members of this commission, were elected to serve and protect the citizens of Bradley County, just as we swore an oath to do. Our missions are the same. If we don't act, if funding, pay, and apparatus replacements continues at this pace, our citizens will be less safe, our response times will grow longer, and our department will continue to lose good men and women who want to stay, but simply can't afford to. This isn't about greed. It's about sustainability, safety, and service. We don't want a handout. We're asking for a hand up to bring us closer to parity with our peers and to give the county the level of protections that citizens deserve. Thank you for your time, your attention, and I hope your action.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, please. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak? There being no one else, upcoming events, Chamber Coffee, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. at the Chamber of Commerce. Board of Education tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pie Center. Road Committee, October the 16th at 9 o'clock in the Commission Room. Planning Commission, October the 16th, noon in the Commission Room. Board of Education, October the 16th at 5 p.m. in the Central Office.